Well, there is so much to see and do at the State Fair, and that includes looking back at past state fairs. And we're talking right now with Shawn Head, the museum superintendent and historian at the State Fair Museum. Thanks so much for talking with us right now.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about what people will find inside the State Fair Museum if they haven't made the trip up the hill to check it out recently.
Yeah, it's one of the best kept secrets. A lot of people don't know it's up here. But we have one of the most extensive collections of fair history of any state fair in the country. And that'll show everything from animals and livestock entries to our great buildings and grounds. Our big display this year is all about grandstand entertainment. It goes back to about 1950, a little before that, and we go through the history of all of the great entertainers we've had in the grandstand. We have a lot of good stuff with contests, food contests, a lot of neat souvenirs and collectibles. We have a queen room that goes over the whole State Fair Queen and that contest, which is really popular. So it's a really awesome collection of just about everything you can imagine that's linked to the fair.
So talk a little bit about that's going to be a lot of work getting all of that organized and put together. Has that process taken place?
Yeah, I try to plan out a few years in advance of what the theme's going to be, and lately I've tried to mix it with something new going on the ground. So we had an update to the grandstand this year, so we decided that we would do a look back at all the entertainers. It just fit perfectly. But we work on it all year. I have a great group of volunteers that help all the time, and so it takes a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about how you first got involved with the museum initially.
So I knew some friends of my grandparents when I was younger. I started when I was in high school, and I got linked to it, and I've always loved history, so it was a really easy transition. And when I started, it was with Helen and Floyd Dietz, and they were the original founders of the museum back in 1982. So I learned a lot of their history. They've both since passed on, but I'm keeping that flame alive with everything I learned from them.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what are some of the reactions you hear from people when they first come in to check things out? Is there a particular exhibit or moment from history that people really seem to be fascinated by?
Yeah, there's quite a bit, but obviously I think one of our most famous pieces is in the new museum, which is next door in our complex. The video of the train crashes when they used to crash the trains together for entertainment. That's a huge draw, and we have the original video still from 1932 that shows them crashing. It's pretty cool.
So if people want to come up and check out that exhibit or all of the other great stuff up here, are you open all through the fair or certain hours?
Yeah, we're open all through the fair. We close at 8, but we open at 9 like all the other buildings. So it's easy to get up here. There's a tram that comes up here if you don't want to make the trek up the hill. It is quite a bit of a hill, but that'll take you right between Pioneer Hall and here. It's perfect.
Yeah. And if people are, intrigued by the effort that goes into keeping track of all of this history and maybe want to help out with that, is that something that you're still accepting volunteers or in need of volunteers to do?
Yeah, well, we also have the 1854 Society, which is a Blue Ribbon Foundation entity, and that goes to all the preservation of our history in the museum and all of the collections and stuff. So that's a huge part of help keeping us going.
And anything else as you've been kind of watching this particular year unfold that has, been of note? We're seeing a lot of changes and a lot of renovations taking place. When you're celebrating the old, maybe it's hard to see change, but is it exciting to see some of the progress as well?
Yeah, it's good to see the new stuff. And one of the things we have on display here is ideas they had in the past of what they wanted the fair to look like at certain times. We have one from when they first moved to this location in 1886, and we have some from the early 20th century, from the mid-century, all the way up to modern plans that they wanted to do, maybe didn't quite follow through with, and then the ones that you can see that we did follow through with. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, interesting to see that progression then.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Yeah.
We sure appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right.